Most men believe silence means it's over. No texts, no calls, no reaction. So you assume she's moved on, forgotten you, replaced you. But what if the silence you fear is actually working in your favor? What if, instead of erasing you, her mind is replaying you, over and over trying to resolve something unfinished? In this video, I'm going to show you the psychological mechanisms that activate when a woman goes quiet, and why most men destroy their own advantage without realizing it. Stay until the end, because the final principle will completely change how you see silence and your power inside it. First, we need to dismantle the biggest fear in your mind right now, the idea that silence equals erasure. You think that because she isn't talking to you, she is slowly overwriting your memory, like a computer deleting old files to make space for new ones. That is functionally incorrect. In fact, human psychology dictates the exact opposite. There is a concept in psychology called the Zeigarnik effect, which states that the human brain remembers uncompleted tasks or unresolved situations far better than completed ones. When a relationship ends or pauses without full closure, or when you suddenly pull back your attention, you become an open loop in her mind. Think of it like a song that cuts off right before the chorus. Does your brain just forget the song? No. It gets stuck in your head. You find yourself humming the melody, trying to finish the verse. The silence doesn't make the music go away. It makes the lack of music deafening. When you step back, you create what psychologists call a gestalt void, a psychological space where her mind seeks completion. Most men try to fill this void immediately. You panic, you send a checking-in text, you like a photo, you post a status update to get a reaction, and the moment you do that, you close the loop for her. You give her the resolution she needs. You tell her, I am still here, waiting for you. And just like that, the tension vanishes, and she can go back to ignoring you because the mystery is solved. But when you maintain that silence, you force her brain to do the work for you. Without new information from you, no texts, no calls, no social media updates, her mind has no choice but to source information from the past. She has to hit replay. And here is where biology works in your favor. When a woman replays memories during a period of silence, a specific filter kicks in, the fading affect bias. This is a psychological phenomenon where negative memories fade faster than positive ones. In the heat of a breakup or an argument, she might have focused on your flaws. But in the vacuum of silence, those sharp edges begin to soften. She stops thinking about the fight you had 3 weeks ago and starts remembering how safe she felt when you drove her home. She stops thinking about your clinginess and starts remembering the way you looked at her across a crowded room. The silence acts as a dark room for developing photographs. It takes the raw, messy reality of your relationship and processes it into something nostalgic, something valuable. So, while you are sitting there agonizing over why she hasn't called, realize that she is likely fighting a cognitive battle. She picks up her phone, she stares at your name, she types a message, and then she deletes it. Not because she doesn't care, but because the void you've created is intimidating. She is wondering, is he different now? Has he moved on? Why isn't he chasing me like he used to? Your regulated presence, even in absence, communicates more than anxious pursuit ever could. You are not being forgotten, you are being processed, and the longer the loop remains open, the more mental energy she has to invest just to keep from reaching out. But of course, she won't tell you this. She won't. Instead, she will look for other ways to connect, ways that don't require her to break her silence first. And that brings us to the subtle digital signals she thinks you aren't noticing. Now let's talk about the only place where she does break her silence, even if she thinks she's being subtle: the digital world. Men often make the mistake of looking for direct communication. You want a text that says, I miss you. You want a missed call. You want a like on your photo. And when you don't get those explicit signals, you assume the line is dead. But women operate differently. We don't always knock on the front door. Sometimes we walk past the house just to see if the lights are on. In the age of social media, this is what we call orbiting. Orbiting is when she keeps you in her gravitational pull without actually landing on your planet. Have you noticed that she's consistently one of the first people to view your Instagram stories or your WhatsApp status, yet she never replies? She never reacts? She never likes your main posts? That is not an accident. That is a deliberate psychological stance. By watching your stories, she is satisfying her curiosity. She is reassuring herself that you still exist, that she still has access to your life. But by withholding the like or the comment, she is maintaining her power. She is saying, I am watching you, but I am not validating you. If she didn't care, she wouldn't watch. Indifference is not watching your story 45 minutes after you post it. Indifference is muting you. Indifference is forgetting to check. So if she is orbiting, the connection is still live. Then there is the soundtrack of silence. Pay very close attention to her Spotify, her music stories, or the lyrics she shares. Women often use music as a proxy for emotions we are too proud to vocalize. We curate playlists that reflect our internal state. If she suddenly starts posting songs about nostalgia, regret, or the one that got away, do not assume it is just a catchy tune. It is a broadcast. She knows you follow her. She knows you might see it. It is a way of speaking to you without breaking the no contact rule she has set for herself. It's plausible deniability. Oh, I just liked the beat, she'll say, if asked. But subconsciously, she is hoping you decode the lyrics. And finally, look for the pattern shift. This is the most reliable indicator of internal turbulence. Humans are creatures of habit. If she usually posts once a week and suddenly she is posting 3 times a day, showing off her outfits, her amazing nights out, her happy moments, that is often a performance. It is what psychologists call reaction formation. She is overcompensating for an internal void by creating an external image of perfection. She is trying to prove to you and herself that she is winning the breakup. Conversely, if she is usually active and suddenly goes completely dark, no posts, no stories, total radio silence, that is equally significant. It means she has withdrawn to process heavy emotions that she can't fake her way through. The key takeaway here is this: don't look at the content of what she posts. Look at the context of her behavior. Is it a deviation from her norm? Is it a calculated signal? Because while she is busy trying to curate her digital life to look unbothered, there is another silent process happening in the background, a comparison she can't help but make as she encounters other men. This brings us to the part that keeps you awake at night. You imagine her out there, meeting new people, laughing at someone else's jokes, and forgetting you ever existed. You assume that out of sight means out of mind. But let me introduce you to a concept called the contrast principle. When a woman steps back into the dating world after a connection with you, she isn't entering a blank slate. She is entering a world of comparison. And whether she wants to or not, you are the benchmark. Here is the reality of modern dating. It is exhausting. It is filled with awkward silences, mismatched energies, and people who just don't get her. So, let's play out a scenario. She goes on a date with a new guy. He might be tall, he might have a good job, and on paper, he looks like an upgrade. The first date is exciting because it is novel. Dopamine is high. She is distracted. This is the moment you fear the most, the rebound high. But fast forward to the third date. The novelty wears off. The new guy makes a joke that lands flat. He gets impatient with the waiter. He doesn't understand her obscure movie reference. Or maybe he just doesn't make her feel safe the way you did. In that split second of disappointment, her mind involuntarily flashes back to you. She thinks, he wouldn't have said that. Or, we used to laugh at this exact thing. This isn't her being malicious to the new guy. It is her brain seeking familiarity and comfort. We don't compare men based on their resumes. We compare them based on emotional safety and chemistry. And if you shared a genuine connection, you have set a standard that is incredibly hard to replicate quickly. Now here is the critical part where most men mess up. If you are texting her, begging her, or posting sad quotes while she is going through this comparison phase, you ruin the memory. You become the desperate ex in the background, making the new guy look better by comparison. But if you are silent, if you are gone, you become the gold standard. By removing yourself from the equation, you allow her memory of you to undergo a purification process. The arguments we had, they fade. The annoying habits, they blur. What remains is the feeling of being understood, the inside jokes, the intimacy. You become a ghost that haunts her new interactions. The new guy is competing with an idealized version of you that exists in her head, a version that is confident, stoic, and absent. And trust me, it is very hard to compete with a ghost. Every time a new interaction fails to meet the bar you set, your value in her eyes goes up. She starts to realize that the connection she had with you wasn't as common as she thought. That grass isn't greener, it's just artificial turf. So when you stay silent, you aren't losing ground. You are allowing the market to prove your worth for you. But even when she realizes this, even when she misses you and the comparison swings in your favor, she still might not reach out. And that is because of a massive psychological barrier that men constantly underestimate: her pride. This is where it gets incredibly frustrating for you. You have done the work. You have remained silent. You have let her process, and you have let the comparison play out. The signs are there. She's stalking your stories. She's posting sad songs. And yet, your phone remains silent. Why? If she misses you, why doesn't she just text you? It seems so simple to the male brain. I want this, so I will pursue this. But for a woman, especially one who has initiated a breakup or pulled away first, reaching out is not just a text. It is a surrender. It is an admission of defeat. We call this the pride paradox. In her mind, breaking the silence means confirming everything she fears: that she made a mistake, that she is weak, that she needs you more than you need her, and worst of all, it opens her up to the terrifying possibility of rejection. Men often think women are fearless in love because we are emotional. That is false. Women are often more terrified of rejection than men are. We are socialized to be pursued, not to be the pursuer. So the idea of sending a "hey, I miss you" text and being left on read, that is a level of vulnerability that feels like facing something unbearable. So instead of texting you, she enters a state of cognitive dissonance. This is a psychological term for the discomfort we feel when our actions contradict our beliefs. She believes she made the right choice to leave or pull away. But her actions, thinking about you, stalking your profile, missing you, contradict that belief. To resolve this tension, her brain has to do mental gymnastics. She tells herself, if he really cared, he would text me. Or, maybe he's moved on, so I shouldn't bother him. She is waiting for you to break the silence so she doesn't have to. She is hoping you will be the bigger person and absolve her of the risk. And here is the trap. If you reach out first, you relieve her anxiety, you validate her ego, you prove that you are still waiting in the wings, and the moment she feels that safety, the urgency to reconnect disappears. But if you hold the line, if you refuse to crack, you force her to sit in that dissonance. You force her to confront her own pride. And the longer she sits with that feeling, the feeling of wanting to reach out but being too scared, the more value she subconsciously assigns to you. Because we only fear losing things that are valuable. We only swallow our pride for people who matter. By staying silent, you are raising the stakes. You are communicating that your self-respect is higher than your need for validation. And that is incredibly attractive. It shifts the power dynamic from you chasing her to her wondering if she is worthy of you. So when the silence stretches on, do not mistake her fear for indifference. She is likely drafting that text in her head 100 times a day, deleting it and staring at the screen, hoping you will make it easy for her. Don't make it easy. Give her the space to process her own emotions without interference. Because while her conscious mind is battling her pride, her subconscious mind is already betraying her. Here is the thing about the human mind. We can control our actions, but we cannot control our subconscious. During the day, a woman can be a fortress. She can go to work, laugh with her friends, post happy stories, and convince herself and everyone else that she is completely fine. Her conscious mind is the gatekeeper, and right now that gatekeeper is shouting, "I am moving on, I don't need him." But the moment she puts her head on the pillow, the gatekeeper goes to sleep. And that is when the subconscious leaks begin. Have you ever wondered why you get a text from an ex at 2 a.m. but never at 2 p.m.? It isn't just because she's lonely. It is because exhaustion lowers her psychological defenses. The cognitive energy she spends all day suppressing thoughts of you depletes. And in that vulnerability, the truth spills out. The most common leak? Dreams. Psychologically, dreams are the brain's way of processing unresolved emotions. If you are creating a void in her waking life by staying silent, her brain will try to fill that void in her sleep. She might dream that you are texting her, that you are arguing, or simply that you are holding her. And the cruelty of these dreams is that they feel real. She wakes up with a heavy chest, a lingering sense of loss, or even anger at you for invading her sleep. For the first few minutes of her morning, her resolve is shattered. She has to rebuild her emotional walls from scratch. That dream is a betrayal from her own mind, reminding her that deep down, the attachment is still alive. Then there are the emotional anchors. These are the triggers she cannot prepare for. Human memory is associative. We link people to sensory experiences. She might be walking through a department store and catch a whiff of the cologne you wear. Instantly, before she can stop it, her brain floods her body with the dopamine and oxytocin associated with you. It is a visceral, physical reaction. Her stomach drops, her heart rate spikes. Or she orders a coffee at a place you used to go to, and for a split second, she looks at the empty chair across from her and expects to see you there. These moments are terrifying for a woman who is trying to be strong. They are ambushes. She can block your number, she can mute your stories, she can delete your photos, but she cannot delete the neural pathways that you carved into her brain. You are living, as the saying goes, rent-free in her head. And here is a psychological principle called the ironic process theory, or the white bear problem. If I tell you not to think of a white bear, what happens? You think of a white bear. The more she tries not to think about you, the more she actively suppresses the memories triggered by these anchors, the more frequently and intensely those thoughts return. Her effort to push you away actually pulls you closer mentally. This internal conflict is exhausting, and eventually she gets tired of fighting her own subconscious. She starts to wonder if the universe is sending her signs. She starts to wonder if her intuition is telling her that it isn't over. But even with all these signs, the dreams, the anchors, the exhaustion, there is one final hurdle, one final test she will put you through before she decides if you are truly worth coming back to, and this is the test that most men fail. We have arrived at the most critical part of this entire video. If you forget everything else I have said today, remember this. A woman's withdrawal is often her nervous system's way of assessing emotional safety. We do not do this to be cruel. We do not do this because we enjoy seeing you suffer. We do it because biologically and psychologically, a woman needs to know one thing before she reinvests her emotions in a man. Is he safe? And I don't mean safe as in nice. I mean, is he solid? In the dynamic of attraction, psychologists observe that when one person's emotional state becomes dysregulated, fluid, changing, uncertain, they instinctively seek someone with a regulated nervous system, someone who remains grounded. When a woman pulls away, goes silent, or acts cold, her nervous system is instinctively checking for emotional stability. She wants to know, if I disappear, will he crumble? Will he panic? Will he lose his emotional center? Most men fail this assessment instantly. When the silence hits, many men react from their own dysregulated state. They send long, emotional messages seeking reassurance. They post angry status updates. They show up at her house unannounced. They prove, without a shadow of a doubt, that their internal world is more chaotic than hers. And the moment a woman feels that you are more emotional and unstable than she is, her attraction for you vanishes. It shuts off like a light switch, because if you cannot handle the pressure of her silence, how are you going to handle the pressure of life? How can she lean on you if you collapse the moment she stops holding you up? This is why your internal order is the ultimate attraction trigger. The internal order test is passed when you demonstrate that your life, your purpose, and your emotional state remain intact with or without her validation. It means you continue to go to the gym, not to get revenge, but because you value your body. You continue to excel at work because you are driven by mission, not by her applause. You remain polite, distant, and unshakable. You become the regulated presence her nervous system recognizes as safe. The waves of her silence crash against you. The storm of her confusion rages around you. But your center holds. You don't dim your light to beg the ocean to calm down. You just stand there. When a woman realizes that her absence has not destroyed you, that you are in fact thriving in your own internal order, something powerful shifts in her mind. Her anxiety about you transforms into respect, and that respect transforms into attraction. She realizes, he is stronger than I thought. She realizes that you are a prize to be won, not a fan to be managed. So the next time you feel the urge to break the silence because you are anxious, stop. Recognize that you are in the middle of the assessment. If you react from fear or anxiety, you reinforce the instability her nervous system already sensed. But if you hold your frame, if you show her that your internal world is orderly, stoic, and self-sustaining, you become the only thing she can trust in a world of chaos. You become the foundation she wants to return to. Silence isn't just a void to be filled. It is the space where you prove your worth. And once you understand that, you stop waiting for her to come back and you start realizing that you are the destination. Silence isn't rejection, it's the dark room where her feelings develop. Stop trying to force a resolution out of fear. Instead, reclaim this space. While she is processing, you should be ascending. The moment you stop needing her validation is the moment you become magnetic. She will sense that shift in your emotional state, even from a distance. So, hold your ground. Let her miss you. You aren't waiting. You are choosing yourself. If you want to master the hidden dynamics of the female mind, subscribe to Inside Her Psychology. I want you to cement this mindset right now. Go to the comments and type this mantra, I choose self-respect over validation. Let that be your reality starting today. I'll see you in the next video. All.